Okay, so for today, I'm going to do a quick video on using the Pico manual brew crafter to convert a 5-gallon recipe. So as you can see here, here's where you can have a title for your beer. In this case, I'm going to do what's called a Patter's beer. So I'm going to just click in here and I'm going to put in a title. Here you can add some notes if you like. Um, You can get them directly from the recipe or just put in your own notes. And here we're going to select a style. So I'm just going to put in, let's see, out of all of these different styles, I think I'm going to choose this one. And with the Pico C or Pico Pro, obviously you want to do a 1.3 gallon batch size. So here is where you select what size batch you're going to be making. And over on this side, you can see as you adjust ingredients, it changes your OG, your IBU, your alcohol percentage. So that you're going to adjust ingredients to get to where your end result needs to be for the recipe that you're creating or making. So here I've started with 1.32 gallons. Down here, we're going to add our fermentables. So in this case, I'm going to add a fermentable. I'm going to select something similar to the grain that I'm using, or malt. And in this case, I'm using a pilsner. So um, let's do a Belgian pilsner. All right, so now here I'm going to adjust the pounds. So right now I'm just going to start out with 3 pounds. And if I look up here, I can see the OG has a 1.054 min and the actual 1.049. So you want to adjust your amount of the Belgian pills until you get the OG that your specific recipe calls for. In the case of my recipe, it is looking for an OG of 1.047. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is right now with the 3 pounds because that 1.047 is basically within these. I could up it a little bit. Let's see if we did 1.25. And that gets us up to 1.057. So as I change these, you will see your OG will adjust. So all you do is adjust this amount until you get to the OG that your recipe is targeting. And that's a little bit high. I want 1.047. So I'm just going to keep messing with this until I get to the OG that I'm looking for. I'm just going to leave it there for now so you get the idea. If we had other fermentables we are going to be adding, we would just click the add button and we could add other grains or oats or whatever it is we wanted to add for that specific recipe. Now the boil, on my recipe, the boil time is 60 minutes. Actually, you know what? Let me go back up here. So my single step infusion, I'm just doing a single because that's much more simple and straightforward. So the single step on my recipe, it says 147. So I'm going to click this down to 147 on the degrees, and the time is 60 minutes. So this is our infusion step. So we're going to have the machine go up to 147, and we're going to have it hold for 60 minutes with this grain. And then as we go down here for our boil, we want to adjust for whatever recipe we're using. So in this case, my recipe calls for the boil additions and times. For 60 minutes, I want to do 1 ounce of traditional and a 1/2 ounce of Saaz. So because this was a 5-gallon recipe and I'm dividing it into roughly 3 batches, I would adjust those ingredients. So in this case, instead of 1 ounce, it'd be like 0.3 ounce of the traditional, and instead of 1/2 an ounce of the Saaz, it'd be like um, uh, be like 1.1 to 0.15. But as we make those adjustments, we'll see the IBU over here adjusted. So you want to adjust your hops until you get to the IBU rating that you're looking for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add hops. I'm going to add the traditional, and this is the only one that they had. Now this is the profile, so you want to match the profile. If the name doesn't match exactly, you just want to match the profile. So I'm just going to pick this one, and I'm going to say 0.2. And the boil time is 60 minutes. Now this entire boil is going to be 60 minutes. So what we want to do is adjust this to 50 minutes because our second hops addition goes in for the last 10 minutes. So the total boil time is 60 minutes, but we're going to do 50 minutes with the tradition, and then we're going to add another one, which is the Saaz. And we're going to do that at 0.1. And we're going to do that for 50 minutes as well. Now, as we make these changes, you can see the IBU adjusting. And I think we're shooting for like an IBU of like 26 for this recipe. So then we're going to do another hops addition, which is for the last 10 minutes, we're just going to do the Saaz. And we're going to do another 0.1, and that's going to be for 10 minutes. Now you can see my IBU has ticked up a bit. Now if I wanted to adjust that even higher, I could, let's say we bump this up to 0.2. That gets us up to 13. Let's say we want to do this at 0.3 and this one at 0.2. Now that gets us up to 20. And then maybe we want to do 0.3 ounce. That gets us up to 21. So I would keep adjusting these until I get my IBU up to the 26, which if that's what I wanted. And if there are other boil ingredients you're going to add, you could add them here. Fermentation type, we're doing an ale. It has these built-in temperatures that are all based on your yeast. So we're going to pick a yeast. In this case, the yeast that I'm using is a, let's see, this one is an Abbey Ale. So let's see what we have for an Abbey Ale. Well, oh, I used a Nottingham. Let's see. Nottingham. Okay. So here we got the Nottingham, and then once we add the yeast we're going to use, this starts to become complete. You know, now you come up with your alcohol by volume, 5.1, IBUs 21. So this shows what your final outcome is going to be given with these ingredients and these amounts. So once you get this all done, you can make some minor tweaks like your pitch temperature. You can figure out what you want to do for those, and then you click Create Recipe, and what that's going to do is it's going to create a custom printout of this specific recipe with those ingredients, and you can save it, or you can print it out, which I did, and then that gives you these very specific step-by-step instructions that you will do on your manual brew cycle on the Pico C or Pico Pro. So it'll go step by step. The only thing that I've seen that's different is where it says leave location at mash. I haven't seen that come up on the Pico C menu. So sometimes it gets a little confusing, but basically the steps are put your grains into the step filter, add your 5 liters of water, put it into the machine, select manual brew, then you'll find an area where you can select the temperature and the hold time. So in this recipe, you would select the temperature of 147 and the hold time of 60 minutes. I'm not sure why this came out a little differently. Hold time of 38 minutes. Previously, when I did this, it came out as 60 minutes. I must have messed something up on there. So you'll do your infusion for an hour at 147. Then the machine will stop. You'll take out the grains, you'll drain them, you'll add your first hop bag, which is going to be, in this case, 2 different types of hop, the traditional and the Saaz, and then you will bump the temperature up to 203 degrees. You'll add your hops, and you'll set the hold time for 50 minutes. The machine will stop after 50 minutes. You add your second hops. You set it for another 10 minutes at the 203 degrees. And then once that's all done, you'll follow the instructions on the machine, which is basically transfer it into the keg for cooling, and then you will pitch the yeast. So hopefully this helps anyone that's trying to use the recipe crafter on the website. Thanks.